2 as Vancouver takes on Philadelphia. And Jake, this is going to be a pretty tough one for the Titans, I would say.
Yeah, tough one for the Titans. You know, if they have anything to be happy about, I guess, it's that they're going up against, you know, pretty indisputably the best team in the league right now, at least in North America. So pressure's off, I guess, for the Titans. They can sort of play with abandon, go for those wild and wacky plays. As well, it seems that Philly have put in some players who don't normally see playtime on this squad. So, you know, all these things in theory should be strengths for Vancouver, but, you know, you can tell by my tone of voice, I'm very tentative about that because I'm pretty sure Philly's still going to dominate this one, especially after, you know, a team like Houston Outlaws, who have had their own struggles, just completely worked the Titans in their last performance.
When you think about the depth that Philly has on their roster, where you take a look at their off-tank situation where Poco and Fury. Poco, a player that people didn't think was going to be defending his starting spot, has played phenomenally well all season long, and yet they still have the depth to go to for Fury when they decide it necessary. I mean, this Fusion team is stacked.
It's pretty terrifying to have two off-tank players both on that incredible top-tier level. You know, Fury, for my money, one of the very best D.Vas in the world, if not the best D.Va in the world. You know, I'm generally very hesitant to say any player is the best in the world at anything because the game is so heavily team-based. But Fury just does things, has these little micro-optimizations on D.Va, turns his back between every shot against a McCree, you know, things that you just don't see normal humans doing. So I'm not convinced Fury is human, maybe a robot, and Poco as well. You know, for his own performance, he's been so consistent across the lineup of off-tank. So I think you're totally right. The Fusion, this is just an embarrassment of riches in the off-tank category.
And again, so much respect to Poco for defending his starting spot, where many people just went, okay, Poco, just write out the rest of your contract, probably done. Fury's going to come in here and take over. And no, you look at the stats, Poco is still a top-tier tank here in the Overwatch League.
Yeah, you know, it must be tough to be the coaching staff on this team, right? Like, how do you choose between Poco and Fury? They're both putting up massive numbers. They're both consistent performers for their team, never overextending, always in the right place at the right time, seemingly. So I think it just presents the Fusion with two different looks. So stylistically, they can just put in whatever they feel like suits this week's meta best. And both of these players seem to be able to perform with no issues, regardless of their playtime.
So we had to investigate for weakness. We got some time to talk to Poco to ask him if there was any hero pool setup that would make the Fusion look weak.
I don't think this week hero pool mattered that much for us, considering how stacked and flexible our roster is. We can basically play every role and every composition at the highest level, and we also have like some really smart coaches who are like telling us what to play at the beginning of every week, so we figured out the meta pretty fast. But yeah, I mean, the fact that Mei, Moira, Orisa and Tracer is banned, maybe we can do some fun stuff this week.
Well, look at that Philly lineup, and do you see any weakness here, Jake?
I don't know if I'd say weakness, but certainly some unique looks. Some players who haven't seen a ton of playtime so far this season are going to see the light of day, hopping off the bench to get some starting time against a relatively weaker Vancouver Titans. This is something that Philly has looked to do consistently. Their coaching staff wants to spread the playtime, and they show that even their players who don't see permanent playtime, who aren't full-time starters, are still strong enough to compete at the Overwatch League level.
Okay, forget all that. Chipsa. We need to go deeper here. Throw everyone else off the screen. All I want to see is Chipsa. More Chipsa. All right. I think we've given everyone what they want here. Is this what you wanted? Is this what you wanted to see? That's what I wanted to see. So, yeah, I feel pretty satisfied with that, Jake.
I feel like we here at the Overwatch League, we owe Chipsa just a little bit of love after that friendly stat card. The Vol Zero stat card was pretty painful for Chipsa. During that match, he said he'd be definitely starting. But now we finally get to see him out. You can't see in the lobby here, but so far I can report back that all 6 players of the Philly Fusion are rocking the Doomfist avatar. So the fear is certainly being struck into the hearts of the Vancouver Titans, who are actually rocking all Brig avatars. So, you know, a little bit of counterplay there, a little bit of spam.
Well, for Vancouver, as they face what could be the toughest challenge of all time, Dalton remains optimistic.
As a new team, we've been scrimming a lot and reviewing a lot. We haven't had as much time as other teams to prepare, so we're trying our hardest to catch up with them. Individually, we've also been putting in lots of amounts of work. I know that we can hang with the best, and no one should sleep on us.
So we take a look at the Vancouver starting lineup, and Jake, okay, I'm looking for upsides here relative to just the enormity of what they're up against, and I think this roster might be a little bit luckier, maybe. That's what I'm going with.
Yeah, you know, I think pretty indisputable that Alarm has been a massive superstar ever since he came in at the start of the season, finally becoming of age to perform in the Overwatch League. He's just been such a dominant force. But, you know, Philly is a team where, you know, normally against a lot of teams, I think when they bring out maybe their second string, players don't normally start, you might feel more relaxed, you might feel confident. But you're going up against Boombox, a player who has been top tier for pretty much as long as Overwatch League has been around, and even before that. And as well, Chipsa, you know, people like to joke and meme on him being a Doomfist one-trick, but I think that's really not true. I mean, he is a diverse projectile player, able to play flex DPS, and with a lot of different looks. What I will say, though, is that this week could be a great week for Doomfist.
Well, now we get to take a look at the maps we're going to be heading to. Oasis to start things off. And, of course, we just got done looking at Vancouver, and I don't know. I wonder, throughout this entire roster, I look at Dalton, I look at Shredlock, and I just wonder, do they have an answer to the man himself? What do they do when a living legend takes the stage? The man that everyone's been waiting for. What we've dreamed of. And also, just why the overkill here from Fusion, where you're going up against a team that's brand new to the Overwatch League, and you bring out your biggest secret weapon, Jake. I'm not sure. I mean, this just seems like overkill.
Yeah, really bringing the hurt on the Vancouver Titans. And I do think, as I was saying before, this is a great week for Doomfist, right? Orisa out of the pool, Moira out of the pool, Mei and Tracer out of the pool. These are all 4 heroes that actually have great matchups against Doomfist. So I think this is sort of a perfect week for Chipsa to play and play his very best hero, as both teams going to TP out of spawn. Karkar as well on the break, so maybe predicting this Doomfist to come out. We'll see, though, can Chipsa match up against an Echo? That hero does so much DPS and also, you know, flies around, so disrupts Doomfist's game plan. So we'll see what Chipsa can get done.
He's taking control of the camera. You're just going to keep seeing the camera on Chipsa. It's actually pure Chipsa vision that we're looking at right now. Not right now, but just a moment. Okay, he's back. Almost off the ledge. Looking for his opportunity. The man with the worst luck in the world. Dalton's already down. And Chipsa just charging. Waiting. The pure intimidation forcing Vancouver back, and then he slept. But he's still pretty lucky, as it turns out. Gets away.
Space created. That's the way I describe that mid for Chipsa, right? When you're playing against a comp with a Brig on a backline and these dive tanks, you don't need to be going for crazy kills. You don't need to be getting big value. You just need to create space and be a distraction, be an annoyance. So Chipsa understands not to overplay his hand there. I think would have been easy to let his nerves get to him and overplay, try and get super aggressive, but he doesn't, and that ends up paying off huge because Poco is one really reaping all the damage that round. Already up to 80% grab, and Suna over peeking there, gets headshot by Carpe. That's a welcome to the Overwatch League. Playing against Carpe, you can't give this guy a chance. He will cut you down.
Well, look, in Suna's defense, how can you worry about Carpe when you know Chipsa is on the other side? Like, yeah, Carpe is getting all the eliminations right now, but think about the aura that's just radiating from this absolute unit to the left.
It's so true, actually. You know, there's the fear struck into your heart by Doomfist, keeping you passive. If Doomfist never commits, then, you know, Philly, they can basically win 5v6 off the distraction, because even though Chipsa basically sacrifices himself as a distraction, everyone else is able to get value, but now it's Chipsa's time to shine. He's taking the nano boost, Meteor Strike in deep on the back line.
Chipsa falling right on down, makes it 2. Is it going to be 3? This is the fear we were worried about. He takes down a 3rd, and Vancouver, no answer to this god among us. You've heard of FD God. I think Chipsa needs God in his name.
Yeah, a little bit of swag from Chipsa. I respect it. I respect it. And that's very, very clean fight there from Philly Fusion, holding point. Nano onto Chipsa, only 2 ults committed and relatively quick charging ones. Now you've got Bob to work with, as well as the Graviton Surge. And yes, you have Rally, but Graviton Surge might be too much damage congregated in one place with the help of Sado. So I'm not sure how the Vancouver Titans are going to be able to get this retake.
Fusion, under a little bit of pressure from this Russian. Carpe is down. Dalton, though, out of play and turn. The Titans, their best opportunity they've had here just yet, but guess what? Chipsa still in the fight. Poco holds on to the grab, drops it down, and Chipsa falls! Somehow, some way, maybe cheating, maybe not. Vancouver finds their way back onto the point, but did take a decent investment.
Yeah, and 99% control is secured. There is a bright side, though, for the Vancouver Titans. They're able to hold on to their tank ults while winning that engagement. And Philly, they kind of went all in. Bit of overconfidence from them, frankly. I think all committing to that fight, even after losing some early picks. Would have wished to have a couple more ultimates on the retake since they already secured 99 there. But that's just the danger of confidence. You know, sometimes it comes back to bite you. Carpe, though, on this dangerous flank. Suna, ooh, very low. Got to be scared of Carpe right now.
Carpe has been putting Suna in check all series long. It's been a tough road. Now Suna again under pressure. Carpe just keeping him back. Meanwhile, Chipsa on the dive in, 100 HP. bit of a tough situation. Boombox has Nano at the ready. He's going to put it on. Does go to Chipsa again. Fusion been kind of playing with their food a little bit, but this is important. They can take the round here and now.
I mean, that's 2 ults baited. Primal and Echo Copy used for no gain at all. So Philly right back into the round. Nano onto Chipsa. Nice accuracy. This is going to be easy pick off. Poco, nice catch as well. Chipsa does miss the punch there and going to get control potentially for the rest of the Nano.
A little bit of a rough go. Unlucky! That was not the game's fault. Just pure unluckiness in there from Chipsa. You hate to see it. But this is kind of problematic for the Fusion as Vancouver is truly starting to bring this back. 66% self-destruct out, and I wonder if the Fusion, well, no, they got Dalton Rope. They're still fighting, trying to grind it out, but I do wonder if they need to reset.
Potentially winnable here for the Fusion, but I think Bob from Tuna is going to seal the deal, buy time for his spawners to get back in and hold the point here. Chipsa pressuring Shredlock out of the window. Shredlock really wants to get this Primal Rage, but he's so low. He needs to finish charging this ultimate. He is going to be able to get it online. That's so important in this fight.
Sato building a shadow later into the fight. He's using Shredlock. Yep, you just get the problem out of the way. Deal with the rampaging monkey. Now Fusion up 1, going back to the point. Poco again, drop the grab, 2 stuck inside. Chipsa there on the follow through. Set up by the off tank, and Chipsa more than willing to clean up. Overtime ticking down, and it should be Fusion grabbing the round, but not without a little bit of struggle there towards the end.
Ooh, and Shredlock even booped off the map there in the final seconds. Nice play by Funny Astro. Overall, I just want to highlight, you know, for me, like, yes, there were some moments where Carpe outdueled Suna, and you can just call that an individual skill difference, and I think that's pretty fair to say. But, you know, obviously with Suna's ping taken into account, not completely fair. But at the same time, I really think what made that round so dominant for the Philly Fusion, or rather what allowed them to close out in the end, was that consistently when the dives come in from the Vancouver Titans, it's a Winston and an Echo that just get baited deep into the backline. But this is the replay we were hoping for. Chipsa following up a grab.
Actually, this wasn't the replay I was hoping for.
Oh, yeah.
Disappointed. I want the replay of him falling into the water. I need more teeth in these replays.
Yeah, but just overall great team movements on the back of Funny Astro's speed boost. So Vancouver just didn't get value off their aggressive dives the way they were hoping. So Philly just showing their experience even with this alternate roster in play. Chipsa again on the Doomfist. Huge opening with the bubble as well.
Decent engagement. Nearly takes Suna out of the fight. And off the Doomfist play, Fusion in a better position on the point. Chipsa, though, getting poked down. Needs to find a moment to back off and look for another approach.
Vancouver, they reset, they get their shields back, and just as point opens, they move up to recontest. Shredlock with a lot of HP on his shield. Now it's burning down quickly, and KSA picks up the first kill. This is actually going Vancouver's way pretty solidly, but Poco starts to turn things around as he has time and time again.
Both teams down to DPS, but now Carpe doesn't really have much to worry about. Protected in the back, plenty of targets in front of him. This is not the kind of space you want to give Carpe in this situation. Find Shredlock, and you just see pure pressure coming out here from the Fusion, forcing Vancouver down.
Yeah, you know, even though Chipsa does fall, once again, the space is well capitalized on by Carpe and Poco, who kind of are acting as the real threats in this comp. Chipsa not farming so much ultimate, but the space created by this Doomfist comp and the fact that Karkar has elected to run the break to sort of counterplay it means that the big movement advantage is on the side of the Philadelphia Fusion with Funny Astro's speed boost. And when Poco gets full capitalization, he's up 35% on his grab charge.
Fusion, 18% on the point. Vancouver over, looking for the best way to engage. Buxo gonna start out. He knows the best way to engage. Put the Nano on the Chipsa and let him go wild until he gets chain stun. But he still gets Karkar out of the fight. Enough space for Carpe. And still not a bad look here for the Fusion, though it does end up being a fairly bloody fight.
Another bubble onto Chipsa, and he capitalizes well. Echo trying to escape, but Poco's already on the case, and even holding on to Graviton's Surge there, that's really painful because there's no good defensive ults on the side of Vancouver. Yes, you have Rally, but it's not even online yet. So if the Philadelphia Fusion just charge in on top of this grab, if it's a big grab and a lot of cleave for Sato, this is going to be a very difficult fight for Vancouver to win.
Vancouver definitely seeing their own mortality in front of them here, 60% to 0. Poco putting things up here with the grab. Quick pin over and out. KSA just immediately assassinated. Now we have Dalton. Gonna go for the Zarya clone. See if he can build a quick grab. Chipsa. Well, it's pretty early into the fight. As long as Carpe has room, I think it's fine for the Fusion. Carpe finds Suna, and Carpe just continues to pick Vancouver apart, Graviton or no.
Yeah, it's a nice quick grab by the copied Zarya. Now the real Zarya back into the fight. KSA returns, and his own grab is almost online. So once again, it's going to be potentially a retake for Vancouver, but Chipsa has something to say about it. These are massive pickoffs.
That was a nice brawl re-engage. No meme or otherwise, Chipsa keeps the fight in progress after grab gets a little bit more. Carpe gets caught. And now the fusion. They might lose control of the point, but 95%. They get the stagger on the KSA. And now this is big for the fusion as they come back in with the full 6. Vancouver on the brink.
So difficult for them. Shatter finds nothing. Sato takes down Shredlock, has an uncontested Shatter of his own. Nando onto the Brig, but she's stunned along with Suna. This is all cleanup for the Philly Fusion. No way back into this round for the Titans. Carpe sends Bob into the pit, just styling on him. And Philly Fusion, I mean, even with this roster, still looking so dominant.
Yeah, and look, we were a little bit jokey in the beginning there because you gotta give the fans what they want, but all in all, Fusion still played remarkably well composed throughout all of it. Being serious about it, I think Carpe was just unstoppable, getting the better of Suna at every point, but to give Chipsa some real credit and not just going into the sea of just memery here, Chipsa had some good engages. Took down 2-3 people at times, made space for the rest of his team. It was objectively pretty good Doomfist play.
Yeah, and when you consider the comp he's going up against, I think it makes it all the more impressive, dealing with the counters like McCree, Brig, and even Echoes. So all 3 of those heroes I think are pretty difficult to deal with on Doomfist, but Chipsa navigated it well, and great backup by Poco with the bubbles.
So the show continues on. The result right now, so far, not unexpected. We'll see if Vancouver has any surprises in store. We'll be right back.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles Wavy. Big crunch, big flavor.
That no man can slay the beast, but what about gravity? What about raw forces of nature? Well, sometimes that does happen. The Fusion, though, taking map 1 away from Vancouver, and that was a pretty one-sided affair, Jake.
Yeah, you know, I think Vancouver had their moments. They did get doing a good job getting recontrol of point, but both those rounds, Philly get ahead to get 99% to 0 pretty much before Vancouver even get the flip. And the second round was even more dominant than the first. It just felt like Vancouver were almost over-invested in countering Chipsa, who still had a decent game nonetheless, and Carpe and Poco just felt really free to deal the damage and just get way ahead in that shield pressure trade. So Philly coming out strongly on top. Some high highs and some low lows, even below sea level for Chipsa in particular. But overall, Philly, as expected, take map 1, looking dominant in the series.
And I think what Fusion is using this series as an opportunity to do, on a serious note, is just try out different looks, where you take a look at the upcoming map. They are making more swap outs. Yes, I know this will disappoint people. Chipsa out of the lineup. It's going to be Hisu coming on the way in, and with EQO, and I think this is just a good time for a team like Fusion where, okay, you know you're coming in with an advantage, but still make the experience meaningful. And on the same note, it's an opportunity for Vancouver if Vancouver can make key adjustments, even though, as we've seen so far, Vancouver has been pretty heavily outclassed.
Yeah, you know, I'd agree with that. It just seems like strategically, especially I'd highlight that first round where Vancouver had a great moment in control of point. You know, they were down 99-0, but they had control of point. They had ultimate advantage, but Philly just completely kited their engagement. The Primal's getting no value out of Shredlock, kind of just separating from his team so far that they're not able to follow up whatsoever. So Philly basically just baits those ults out and retreats very successfully. So Vancouver jumping the gun a bit, mark of inexperience. You know, they need to wait a bit longer, force Philly to commit just a little bit further so they can't just back out from a Primal Rage. That's not what you want to happen when you're going to commit such a crucial ultimate in a dive comp. So Vancouver, as you said, they're going to have to make some adjustments. But if anything, this is only going to make that more difficult to do with EQO and Hisu coming into the lineup. Now it's going to be a different look for Philly Fusion. So whatever you thought was the adjustments you needed to make last game, that kind of goes out the window now. You have to adapt to a new DPS lineup with new strengths, new weaknesses, and these players don't have really the experience, I think, to deal with that sort of diversity from the Philly Fusion.
I think it's going to be difficult, and just to kind of get into the mentality of it all, you're a team that's up and coming here, where you're looking at the next map that we're heading into. It's going to be Volskaya Industries, and you know that the Fusion are kind of holding back some of their punches here, but on the same note, you're competitors. You didn't get to the Overwatch League without feeling you could be the very best in the world. On some level, you have to be just angry that you're getting toyed with like this, and you do want to turn things around.
Yeah, but as you said, you know, as a competitor, you just got to take anything you get, right? If Philly's not going to run their very strongest lineup throughout the entire match, that means you just have a better chance to win. So you just have to take it all in stride and perform as best as you can. From what I see, though, I think Vancouver's problem is really their decision-making around initiations, around engagements. Yeah, you might say there's some issues with individual skill, especially players like Tuna dealing with high ping. But we've seen other players in the Overwatch League deal with that same high ping during this online play segment during the quarantine. So for me, it's not really much of an excuse. You know, maybe it's a bit of a grain of salt in their performance. But when you're playing a hit scan, the impact in Overwatch is less than you might imagine than some other games. So Tuna, you know, Dalton, I think these players, they do have what it takes, but overall as a team, they just haven't been having the proper amount of decisiveness in their executions, right? Like when they go for plays, like last time we saw them play against Houston on this map, they looked really lost on attack on Volskaya Industries. They just looked like really, they were just walking on a point with the Rhine, sitting DPS behind it. You know, basically very, very default, very, very basic strategy, and it's pretty much all in on Tuna or Dalton making a big play. There's no real setup. There's no pressure on their opponents, and I don't think Fusion's a team that you can just let do whatever they want. No matter how smart your game plan is, if you don't disrupt theirs, they're going to find picks on you.
So the Fusion looking to be running here with the Ashe Echo setup. Something that's going to be very, very divey. Ashe or no. Vancouver, meanwhile, a little bit more static in the back. And then the Fusion not really wasting a lot of time, but Boombox getting caught. Suna, successful pick off to start things off, and well protected in the back as we have a pause.
Yeah, it's a great opener from Tuna. That's exactly what he needs to do. Burning down Boombox especially is like the highest priority kill you could possibly find. You know, this is a very similar matchup to what we saw when Houston Outlaws played the same map against Vancouver's defense. Except Houston chose to run a Zenyatta here, so I wonder if we'll see Boombox make a swap. The Ana offers a lot more heals, keeping your tanks alive longer, but potentially the damage pressure from a Zenyatta or even a Batiste might help out in cracking some of these shields, especially Shredlock and KSAA. If they can actually successfully hold the choke here, then it will be difficult for Philly's dive comp to get a ton of value.
On the same note, I think holding at the choke for a long period of time in this composition is incredibly difficult. You look at the players that Fusion is running with right now. They're players that are very good at finding opportunities, and all it takes is just one good pickoff to ruin the ability to keep a strong chokehold. It forces the defenders back, and one opportunity ends up begetting another. So it can be pretty hard, but we are going directly back into game. And Vancouver, at the very least, does hold off Fusion for the first fight.
Yeah, so far some clean pickoffs. I think, if anything, Philly just need to charge up that nano boost, give a Winston a nano, maybe even give it to Eco, but I think it'll probably be stronger on Sado just to push that Echo and Ashe back, get some space to get your backline through the choke. As you said, once this choke point falls, a trickle turns into a flood as far as the attackers moving in towards point. So Vancouver, they have to play perfectly to execute this hold, but I think it's what they have to do actually playing this Rhine comp. You've got to hold a choke.
Vancouver needing to be perfect in the choke point. Fusion, though, starting to muscle their way on through. EQO getting off to the side. Kisu, a bit of pressure. Fusion, though, able to heal back up. And now Dalton has to be aware of EQO. And there's Nano Winston diving on in. Sato saying enough's enough. Time to make some room. Takes down Suna as the first pickoff. And the Fusion looking very healthy as they just mow Vancouver over.
Yeah, you know, I thought the Nano would get Fusion through the choke, but instead it just wipes the defense. That's a quick first point take. One fight lost, really, for the Philly Fusion, but it's not too painful. What I will say for the Titans, though, is that they do lose that fight pretty decisively, but they didn't invest any ultimates. They didn't waste any resources going into that second point defense, which tends to be the more important of the two on these assault map types. Second point is where you can really hold it down, really get rid of that long-term time bank. But they're going up against some ults as well on the side of the Philly Fusion, so I think the Echo that gets the better of the copy is going to have a big edge going into this next team fight.
Suna already super, super low, where I think Suna keeps trying to take chances against some of the DPS he's up against. It does not pay off. Meanwhile, EQO, the assassination in the back, takes down Dalton early, and that's going to be the signal to go. The Fusion ready to dive on in right after. Suna super low, can't get away, and EQO, one focusing beam after another. Here's a duplicate, here's Reinhardt. The ground might be about to tremble here. Earth Shatter up, there it is, there's one. And now Shredlock trying to equalize from the back. No, just gonna get knocked off by Sato. The Fusion looking absolutely dominant here on the point. Vancouver just getting forced out and don't know if they have anything left here.
Eco's Echo is just fearsome. Shredlock coming out to point 2 delay, but he's going to be stunned up by Brig and potentially quickly burst it down. Self-destruct as well, slowing down the contesters. They're moving in one by one here, but the pickathon to Eco could be the start of something, and as I say that, it's all Philly Fusion. 4-11 in the time bank. I mean, that's just, the defense completely fell apart there. You know, 3 fights, 2 points cap for the attack. About as good as you can do for Philly Fusion's attack.
I just think that the way Vancouver is set up right now, their strongest player, I think by far, has been Dalton when they do well. And when Vancouver ends up in spots where Dalton is losing near one-on-one situations where, okay, there's other factors to go in. I'm not sure there's ever a true one-on-one, but situations where it's pretty close. If Dalton is losing those battles to other highly skilled players like EQO, I just think it's difficult for Vancouver because you look on the other end, a player like Suna has definitely struggled in adjusting to dealing with hit scan level players in the Overwatch League, and it just, there's so many parts where Vancouver just doesn't seem like it's all clicking here just yet.
Yeah, it definitely seems like the team synergy is a bit awkward, and their awareness of the ultimates is also, you know, not really there, right? Like, Sato's Nano Winston pretty much got a 6K. I mean, maybe not doing it all himself, but dealing an absurd amount of damage with that Nano boost, not even forced to use any other ults for the attack. That's what enables them to snowball, and, you know, for the Titans, it's kind of on them. Like, they should know that Nano's coming. They should know the Winston's about to dive in, but they just looked utterly unprepared for it. They didn't have a game plan in mind, and I think for me, that sort of thing is where you're going to see the Titans have real issues, right? Dalton takes a fight against Eco in the flank, but Funny Astro's with Eco, permanently armor packing him. So Dalton taking that fight, it's pretty much unwinnable. He should know that it's not a fight he can win, but, you know, he takes it anyway, and I think it's less of like his mechanics not being good enough and more he just needs to know when he's putting himself in a disadvantageous position. This is the Overwatch, so you can't just go, you know, charge in, outskill your opponents. Top players, they're going to put themselves in a position where they never take fair fights. A fair fight is something you have to earn in the Overwatch League because enemy teams going to set up to be as unfair as humanly possible when they engage.
Just feel like you've described a lot of aspects in life where people go out of their way to stack the deck in their favor, and I mean, it's very true, especially here. That's why you have coaches. That's why you give yourself advantages in every possible way. And Vancouver, they're taking a long time here, Jake. We've just been talking, and it's been a while since Vancouver's really made a serious move to the point.
Yeah, they choose to switch their comp, but Suna catches a Widow Mine. That's going to really slow him down. EQO on this Echo is flying around the field, just charging up his ultimate. So Vancouver trying to posture, but they're getting heavily counter-pressured by the dive from the side of Philly Fusion. Shredlock is just permanently running away and not even able to regain his health yet.
Vancouver looking a bit scattered on the point. Sato, though, getting a bit of focus fire. Fusion tanks able to disengage. Now ready to head back in. Hisu gets caught! KSA able to get something going here for Vancouver. Now they don't have to worry about the Widow threat. Astro, though, the boop. Whip-shotting Shredlock right off the side. And as a result, Fusion, they have a path back into the fight. They give up a tick, but now taking the fight right back to Vancouver.
losing your Hammond like that is so brutally painful. He had something like 600 health, including those shields, so not able to utilize that whatsoever. And Funny Astro has a big lead on Rally. Once again, the Nano Winston doing so much damage, and even if he can't find these kills, he's completely zoning heals for the rest of the side of the Titans. So Sato controlling the engagement just perfectly here, still has Primal.
It was all upside for Sato there. Jumps in with the Nano, and even if he got focused, he had the Primal in reserve, so zero fear. He could dive as much as he wanted to, and you know, you look at the time right now, it's 1:50 left for Vancouver. Time has quickly left them. They don't have many fights left.
Yeah, and the one bright spot I'd say for the Titans is Tsuna has a big lead on the EMP with Hisu starting on that Widowmaker. He's understandably far behind, but Astro, because of that huge poof off, he already has his Rally ready, and he hasn't been a player often making mistakes around the EMP.
EMP gonna be dropped by Tsuna, sets up for Hisu to be out of the fight. Vancouver finally finding a good opportunity. Here's the bomb for over and over. EQO able to take down Shredlock. Dalton going for the clone onto the Brigida. Quick armor pack out. Vancouver trying to make the most of this. Fusion pushed back. This should be a one fight for Vancouver, but there's a world where the Fusion can push this back. They're still fighting down in numbers, trying to buy time. Now, Jake, they're about to go in.
The quadruple Brig is on the field right now. A sight I don't think anybody wanted to see, but it's here. Now D.Va Bomb in deep, and that's exactly what the Titans need, picking off Astro.
Sato.
But Sato's striking back. He's still in this.
Sato comes in with the Primal Rage. He opens the door. Fusion might be about to walk through it. Gets another. Sato saving it after a delay. And this is something that I thought could happen. Even with Vancouver having an edge, Fusion, they thought they could bring it back, Jake, and they did.
Yeah, and that's the worry for Tsuna. I mean, he goes for the EMP on tanks, and it looks very successful, but when your EMP kills a Winston with Primal, he's going to be back to the fight quickly, and because Boombox and Funny Astro stayed alive, Eco copied the Brig, that just bought so much time for the Philly Fusion to regroup, so Sato was back in and had time to get that Primal off. This is last fight for the Titans. Shredlog, we'll see if he can do the same with his Primal, but he's got a lot of pressure to worry about, so much control on these lineups. Very difficult to get that much value out of a Primal like Sato did.
We'll see what Vancouver can do as they try to keep things going here in the series. Dalton finds EQO. That's a start. Shredlock going to use the Primal Rage. 6-on-5 for Vancouver. Best opportunity they've had so far, the take point A. The Fusion getting forced back. Poco super low, losing the mech. Vancouver still looking pretty healthy. Shredlock buying more and more space. Dalton working the outskirts. And Vancouver finally, mercifully, going to take point A.
Yeah, even committing the EMP there from Tsuna, I don't know if that was entirely necessary, but this just shows how much pressure the Titans are under. They're desperate to get any points on the board. 2 minutes left on the clock, 2:45 rather left on the clock, so they've got some time to work with. But some ults available for the defense, and the naturally defensive nature of the Assault game type means I think Philly are going to have a pretty easy fight coming up. No EMP, and that's really the biggest threat in this comp. Hisu has his own EMP, so if ever the Titans overcommit, they might just die to that.
Box can drop the Nano on the Sato. Here Sato goes again. There have not been really good responses to Sato diving in. No boy. He's using Primal Rage. The ledge is in sight.
It's
Dalton's
EQO.
He's looking for more. Oh.
EQO gets the Nano. It's such on the double Winston. Double Winston diving in on top of you with 2 Primals. That's not the sort of fight you want to be taking. Oh man, that's a classic. That's an Echo classic, actually.
Did swap from Winston to Winston in that time?
I'm not sure. I think it was right as Eco popped the ult, so it was a bit chaotic there. But I think the use of the Nano onto the Echo is actually superior than nanoing the real hero, because Echo, of course, has that insanely fast ult build rate, and the Nano all but guarantees that that Primal is going to come down. And Sato has his own Primal anyway, so he didn't need the Nano. You know, he's able to be sort of the backup Winston. Oh, and Philly just adding insult to injury. What an aggressive movement.
Sato taking down Rulf early in the fight. And Fusion, they're just taking this fight outside. They're going, why fight inside the base? Just bring this out and over. Sato, though, does give his life for it as Fusion goes, okay, you know, kind of nicer inside. Maybe we'll head back on over.
Rally's traded, it's far from point, and now Poco's going to respond with the self-destruct. Vancouver hiding in the corners, trying to stabilize, but that's just buying time for the spawners on the defense to get back in. Sato's Primal ready to drop here.
Shredlock under heavy assault. Pops Primal just in time, though. Got very, very low. QO going to lose his duplicate. And now the Fusion still in control. They get Tsuna out of the fight. Still pretty healthy here. KSA's bomb up and over the top. Fusion able to get away from it. Sato just kind of limps back over the base after a Primal. Job well done. And Vancouver just kind of struggling here, Jake, as they're down to under a minute.
Yeah, push over. Eco with the big pickoff onto his counterpart, and that just signals the end of the offense 45 seconds left on the clock, so this is pretty much last fight territory. But in the previous fight was where the Titans invested all of their crucial ultimates. So yes, they will have a nano and a rally here, so an opener and potentially a finisher, but they're going to have to deal with Hisu's EMP. Hisu has been so quick about charging that up. We haven't talked about it too much, but he's just been in the back lines farming that EMP up, and it's questionable whether Karkar is even going to have his rally in time. If Hisu gets that EMP first and denies the rally from coming out, then Karkar could just die without getting it off.
Final 14 seconds. Wolf, Nano in reserve. Could be a big Nano and even bigger follow-through. Sato, meanwhile, Nano of his own. Off to the side. Dalton Zuna already out of the fight and pretty much spells the end. You can't lose both your DPS that early and expect to turn a fight like this around. Fusion still in full control. And Vancouver, Jake, continuing to have troubles here against the Fusion, where they've just been outplayed in pretty much every aspect of the game.
Yeah, this is really just an outclassing here. Nice little cinematic tauntaun point from Funny Astro. Gotta respect that. I love that moment of the quadruple break on first point. That was totally ridiculous. 4 rallies came out in that fight. Completely obscene amounts of armor, but it ends up favoring the defense, right? If no one can kill anybody else, then that just means the defenders have a lot of time to get back to point, and Sato's Primal really closed that fight out. I think that was where the Titans really ran out of steam, because in order to just finish the cap on point A, Tsuna had to drop the EMP, so the snowball potential was pretty much dead in the water at that point.
I'm just thinking if you go back to 2019 at the height of GOATs, and then you tell people, what's 2020 look like? And then you just take a small screenshot of 4 Brigidas on the field. They just go, no, it's good. We'll stay here for now. Not knowing the context, that's only temporary. But you know what else is temporary? Our break. We'll be back soon with some halftime analysis.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, helping you stay connected to what matters most. Learn about T-Mobile's COVID-19 response on T-Mobile.com. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renter's insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Welcome to another game break presented by Pringles Wavy. I am Zoe. Joining me are Reinforcing Costa, and the Vancouver Titans are currently, unfortunately, 0-2 down. I meant to say it the other way around, and then I surprised myself with it by saying Titans.
You just really wanted the Titans to be 2-0 up, didn't you?
I wanted, and it
One day.
it didn't happen. Maybe one day.
Just maybe.
Today ain't it, though. However, today was the day of Chips' debut, and he, of course, is undefeated now. We're gonna talk more about him, but first, let's start at the overarching theme here. Philadelphia Fusion coming in, of course, they were coming in with confidence, and that really showed in the way they played, in the composition they run. They were just having fun with it, I guess, Costa.
Yeah, I think this match is going how most people expected. Obviously, Vancouver really struggling with their new signings. Philly just being absolutely dominant. You see the coaches and the team just subbing on a lot of different players. The picks are suboptimal, I would say, that they're usually going for, but just with their team synergy and their individual skill, they just seem to be winning. I swear Carpe was just shooting for free. I think he was shooting at training bots on that first map because of how many resources the Vancouver Titans were trying to put into shutting down Chipsa. And then we go to the next map. We have Hisu and EQO now, and they're just running around, just the better team. And so there's not too much to analyze or go deep dive on this match, but it is entertaining and it is fun to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? I think one person here on our imaginary desk is not actually having a great old time. Reinforce, I want to remind you, this is a safe space.
It's okay, Johnny.
Please share your thoughts and feelings in regards to the
I don't know. I mean, it's the toughest matchup of the season, right? But at the same time, I'm like, I think it's so unfortunate that KSA and Tsuna is in Europe and like you're having these latency issues and all of that, and it doesn't feel fair. Like, it doesn't feel fair for some of these players who have been playing in contenders for a very long time now, and they finally get the chance to be promoted to the Overwatch League. And then that chance is playing with a mixed roster that doesn't have prior experience playing together, and two players that are playing in Europe with high latency. Like, these are not the circumstances in which you wanted to get promoted to the Overwatch League. So I guess I'm just a bit sad, and I really hope that Vancouver Titans manages to get KSA and Tsuna to America as soon as possible, to be able to gel with the teammates as soon as possible in a real-life environment, and then you also fix the latency issue. I'm just a bit sad on the behalf of some of these players, because I know they have potential, I know they have skill, but these are not the circumstances in which you should be judged for, and that just doesn't do anyone any favors. So I just, like, there are 14-day contracts.
It's okay, buddy.
Get an off-tank, get a projectile player, round out the roster nicely and make sure that they can actually practice together under the correct circumstances and enable them to flourish. Like, have them fulfill their potential. Right now, I don't think they're able to do that. I'm just a bit sad.
I'll add on to that just real quick. It's really sad that we didn't see like an entire team that come out of Tier 2.
Yeah, I agree with that.
As Johnny was saying, if we could have had like none of these issues, all the players were comfortable with each other, really see what this team could do, because it doesn't feel like this current Vancouver Titans roster is doing the Tier 2 scene justice in the way they're playing these matches because of how many hindrances they've had. So looking to the future, I hope to see more from them so that they can prove themselves, but this just doesn't seem like it right now.
And I want to emphasize, it's not any player's fault. Like, it's not Tsuna's fault, it's not KSA's fault. It's just unfortunate. That's really just it. So.
Yeah. No, I think pretty much everyone watching would agree with that statement. Now, one player who has been fortunate today, that is, of course, Chipsa, who managed to crunch and look crisp, because he indeed was put in the best position to shine. We did see him on map number 1, Oasis. Guys, he made it into crunch time, presented by Pringles Wavy. What were your thoughts on
saving the best for last?
This had everything that you want out of a Chipsa coming in for his first match. He popped off at times, he fed at times, he took a drink and fell off the map at times. So he just pretty much had a lot of fun, everything in it. We even had some Twitter game going on. We even had some good stuff happening in match chat. So Carpe's, cheering on his teammates. So it was a lot of fun, and it was great to see. He actually played very well, given the circumstances as well.
He played good. Yeah. Like he did.
Just like bringing you down a
no,
notch.
but I mean, that was like they were all in the grab. Yeah. I mean, it's all fun. It's all fun. People can finally like the YouTube video, so we love that.
Yeah. If you like to see Chipsa, make sure to like the YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah. Leave a comment down below.
He's right. Undefeated in Owl. I think it was actually a stroke of genius to get subbed out after that first map victory. Now he's 0-1. So take it, everyone. Take it, all the haters. He's done his due diligence, and he could literally retire on a
Please
winning
don't. We need
record.
more.
How amazing is that? Not a single loss to his name. Just want to throw that out there. Now, let's see if they're going to stick with the lineup or maybe sub him back in just for the lols. We don't know. We're heading into map number 3 in this wonderful series between those two wonderful teams. So stay put.
Wait, what is the next map that we got coming up? Can we see Chipsa coming back?
Rialto will be up next.
Is that a good?
No,
that's not a bad. That's not a bad.
No,
it's not great.
But
it's not awful for Chipsa.
We're literally only on point C. Like you're not.
They're gonna make it to point C. They're gonna make it. So I
mean, we wanted to end halftime here, but now we need to discuss it. Please state why you think that Doomfist here will be a good idea, because that needs to be dissected. Please explain yourself.
So Chipsa is gonna play the Doomfist, so we need him. There's so many walls, there's so many corners that he can run around. Yeah, there might be some long sidelines here and there, but as Johnny said, if we get to C point, that's the frag video right there. That's what we all need, and that's what we love. Get it there. Run it through.
I'm sorry. The best part about this is that our producer was in our ear and was like, Chipsa's not coming back. And Costa's like, no, he is coming back. This is
my point is ruined.
He's really good.
But you know what, Costa, never stop believing. I think you're doing great. We're now ready for our next match, map rather.
Come back,
without Chips,
Chipsa.
unfortunately.
Please.
But, come back. Yeah, thanks. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles Wavy. Big crunch, big flavor. The Overwatch League is brought to you by ZipChair Gaming, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League.
The Fusion continuing to give Vancouver a rude welcome into the Overwatch League. Of course, Vancouver now a team with some up-and-coming rookies from the contenders scene. And it's been tough as they match up against some of the very best in the Overwatch League. And across the board, it's been a lesson, is what I would say.
Yeah, lesson indeed. Not a very friendly one, though, especially, I think, Sato on the Winston. You know, these disgusting primals just pretty much running rampant over the top of the Titans. So Titans, not really the Goliath that their avatar would suggest them to be, unfortunately for them in this match. As we go into Rialto, our escort map, I have to feel a little bit worried for them because when they went up against the Houston Outlaws, they barely got around the first corner that the defenders really hold on this map. So got to be worried about that if you're a fan of the Titans. You know, maybe they've taken a fresh look at this map. Maybe they're going to come with a new approach. You've got to hope so, because what they did last time did not work out at all.
No, and I think the problem that Vancouver's running into here is that there's so many threats on this Fusion team that even when they work to isolate and deal with players like, say, Carpe, where, oh, we're not going to let Carpe beat us, well, what do you see? You see Sato able to just leap in with reckless abandon and not even really get touched, to simply walk at players like Suna and take them out of the fight over and over again. And that's been sort of the theme that we've been seeing here, is that anyone on Fusion can be a threat, and Vancouver just seems to be overwhelmed, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, you know, I think if you have a game plan of trying to focus a player down or to deny one specific player of value, that pretty much is only going to work if that player is either weak or unable to adapt. And I don't think that's true of anybody on the Philly Fusion roster. So if you try to focus Chipsa, for instance, you know, you're going to counter pick him with the Brig and stuff, then he's just going to play passive, bait you out, and Poco and Carpe will step up and get a ton of kills. And I think that's true of pretty much any player on the squad. If you try and over-focus them, then they're just going to react to that by playing defensively, bait your abilities when you attempt to focus them, and then the rest of the squad cleans up. So as a team in the Overwatch League, I don't think it really works to focus one player or have like that mindset that one player will be the enemy weakness, unless that player is like just actually not good at the game, which I just don't think is true anymore, right? Seasons and seasons of the Overwatch League have gone by. These teams have gotten better and better. The players themselves get better and better. So the way you win matches is by working as a team and defeating the other team straight up. Like, gimmick plays only work when you're already a team that can win in the default damage trade, right? Like, if you're a team that's falling behind in default, then the desperation plays are just obvious. They're telegraphed. You have to be a team that's naturally winning, naturally getting ahead as a unit in order to make those sort of creative, chaotic plays work. We'll see if the Ryan defense is able to hold better than it did yesterday against the Houston Outlaws.
So the Fusion taking to the attack first. And now once more, we look at the DPS side of things. Hisu back on the Ash, EQO, look at the flank in, and Sato, no fear here, rushes in through the front, forcing Shredlock and Dalton back. And Shredlock nearly getting taken down to start things off as the Fusion gain a lot of progress here, Jake.
Yeah, just poking forward, trying to get KSA off this high ground. And Sigma doing a great job with Karkar's Brig of keeping this key position, but what a poop off from Poco. Doesn't find any kills, but that's not what he's going for. He gets them off the high ground. Now, position for the defenders is sorely lacking. Suna completely zoned off.
Suna is going to be seeing Sato in his nightmares if this keeps up. Sato just going to the back line, being unstoppable. No one's actually putting damage into Sato. And with Rulf out of the fight, this is going to quickly snowball in favor of the Fusion, as it's more of the same.
Yeah, once again, Vancouver, it's like clockwork pretty much. Poco and Sato take away the position from the defending tanks. As soon as they're in that awkward rotation trying to regain position, that's when the dive comes in attacking backliners. So it's pretty, you know, step by step here for the Philly Fusion. Nothing too crazy, nothing inventive, but Vancouver Titans aren't forcing them to adapt.
Sato just going to leap in again, and look at this. Rulf in a very tough spot as Sato moves in, has the primal ready. Shredlock gonna drop the shatter, but Sato will not be denied, leaps back over and in. And EQO just taking advantage of all the chaos on the side.
Yeah, Eco and Hiso getting all the final blows there. Sato and Poco doing their job, getting deep in the front line. Eco does use the copy to secure that fight, get that solid cleanup, but that just means that all the members of the Philly Fusion are still alive to hold down. Now Shredlock finally going to make over the swap over to the Winston. I like this choice. I think it's better to mirror when you're losing this badly. But the question is, can he keep up with Sato, especially when he's so far behind in Primal? We're already close to last fight territory here for the attackers.
The Fusion so far yet to really be stopped. Self-destruct over to the back, gets two! Easy for Poco. And the momentum just keeps on going forward here for the Fusion. There's no resistance in the Vancouver squad here. They lose fights really before they begin.
Yeah, the word I would use here is just merciless ZP. With Sato jumping in with the nano, forces you to split up. And then Poco's bomb comes in, and because you're split up, you can't protect each other. So it's another damned if you do, damned if you don't. Classic of the Overwatch League. Put your opponent in a double bind. That's a mark of a top team. As Sato is just relentless. Dodges the sleep dart as well. Gonna get back into this fight. Try and zone the Echo Copy Primal, but should be a Primal here coming out for Dalton very soon. That might be an opening.
Dalton's gonna use the Primal, get to the back. EQO out of the fight. Suna will be revenge courtesy of Bob. So the Fusion perhaps stumbling very slightly, but still 5 members up. It's just a short delay, Jake, before they can head back in.
Yeah, Vancouver, they might have had an opening to get some more kills, but they're too scared to push out deep with a choke, which you don't really disagree with there. It could be very, very risky, especially with this much time bank on the offense, but still, this is just another opening. Might be that same Nano Winston with a bomb behind it coming in for the attack.
Sato gets on the car again. You look at Sato health-wise, untouched with the nano, gets another 2. And the front line for the Fusion, Jake, is basically just A-moving against the Vancouver team right now. Vancouver just can't do anything.
Yeah, they do have a Primal to contest the cart, but there's a lot of damage here for the attack. Eco even wasting his copy there, so that should be a little bit helpful for these defenders trying to retake position. But Jesus Bob, if it doesn't get slept, he's going to put out a ton of work in this fight. Suna needs to charge up his own Bob to keep that cart contested.
Isu gonna throw the Bob out early. Vancouver already in real danger. Suna about to fall. Shredlock erased. Funny Astro with the finish. And the Fusion looking super healthy here. This could be one of the fastest times of Rialto in history. 3 minutes, 52 seconds left as the Fusion just roll into Vancouver and do pretty much whatever they want. A little bit of delay, but the delay does not last long. And I actually want to hear from the stats side just how fast this was, because I feel like this has to be top 5.
Yeah, it was close. I think Houston might have stolen that top 5 time from them in the last match against the Titans, putting up a pretty similar time bank. But yeah, this was a disgusting offense here. It doesn't get much better than that. The Titans just falling apart here. This isn't really that competitive. I mean, there's not much to hype, sadly. I mean, you know, for me as a caster, I always like to hype the losing team, you know, see what they're doing to still keep themselves competitive here. But in that case, Shredlock gets stunned by Funny Astro and just bursted down before he can Primal, and there's not really ever a fight. They are in delay mode within the first 3 seconds of the fight, and with this much time bank, you cannot be playing for delay. You need to be winning fights.
Well, look, Jake, as casters, we like to look for the light at the end of the tunnel and then magnify that light to give people hope. But right now, Vancouver, they're playing from a completely dark room. There's no light to be seen. The Fusion are crushing them in every way imaginable right now, and we can't pretend otherwise. Vancouver is simply outclassed. There's no way around that. And yes, the Fusion are playing brilliantly, but Vancouver, after this week of play, they have to go back and make some serious adjustments, because this has been tough.
Yeah, back to the drawing board is the phrase I would use, because you just need a complete reset in the way you're approaching the game. For the Titans, they're falling behind in every sense. Their game, they're so passive, I feel like. It's always Philly initiating the fight. It's always Philly dictating the engagement. I think mirroring this Winston is a good start, but it might be something that they just haven't practiced enough to be experienced, to have the confidence. And as well, playing as a team like the Philly Fusion, it's a very difficult comp to execute. You know, one slip up from one of your tanks is going to cost them their life.
Dalton under pretty heavy pressure in the beginning, getting a bit of support. Fusion giving up a bit of room here to Vancouver as they look to take the engagement around the corner. Shredlock jumping in before heading out, and Vancouver not doing a terrible job here of getting some space, but Suna finding himself under pressure. Here comes Sato, but the support is there. Suna stays alive.
And Sato runs out on 100 HP. They can't finish him off. He gets fully healed. Boombox significant lead on the nano boost. So again, this might be a fight where Philly can just engage at their will. Sato, look at him. He's setting up. Suna gets the opening on Hisu, though. This is a great moment for the Titans. This is where they need to get right back into it. But I have a sense that Philly's going to keep fighting this one out.
Yeah, I don't think Philly fears a 5-on-6 fight here, but Vancouver now at 6-on-4. Dalton and Suna both delivering, but Sato is still alive, has the presence in the back line, goes for Suna once more. Primal ready to go, and EQO just cleaning up on everything that's being set up.
Sato?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
He's good. Okay, he's good. Fine.
He's safe. I'm
Plenty
not
of
an
luck.
experienced Winston player. He knows what's good. He knows the potential of the hero. So, yeah, great work by the Philly Fusion. And that's a fight where Vancouver are up 2-0 at the start of the fight from picks. It's just that the ultimate the control and discipline from the defense is just way too effective. Eco's now diving the spawn. Like, I don't think this is a good play from Eco, but does it matter? EQO, excuse me.
Yeah, EQO, I think at this point you're just playing with your food a little bit. You're bored. You go, why do I have to wait for a perfect engage to fly around? I just want to jump in as Winston and do this right now. And I think that's where EQO's headspace probably is.
Yeah, some ultimates available for the offense, though. All 6 actually available at the same time, which is a good thing, but is also usually the mark of a team that's getting kind of dominated, that you weren't able to get out any of those ultimates for value earlier. Vancouver, they absolutely must win this fight. I mean, this is an advantage fight for them significantly, and if they lose it, I think it's kind of all over for this offense. But they have the tools they need. Let's see how they make use of them.
This would be tragic if Vancouver lost this fight. They open up here with the Bob, with the Nano. Suna able to get down Boombox, so here comes Self-Destruct. They're piling on over the top. And with Sato and Boombox down, they don't have to worry about Sato. They don't have to worry about the Nano Winston in their face. Vancouver using those ultimates to get more space than they've had all round long, and now Fusion, they still have an opportunity to come back before point A is over.
Yeah, EQO does get picked off, so he's not going to be able to posture for position in the pre-fight, so that's a great sign for the Titans. Potentially might enable them to cap first point, but I'm just hesitant to be too confident for them. Shredlock gets his jump denied. Does have a primal if he wants to commit, though.
Shredlock getting very low, going to have to count on the primal, and go, get slapped! Telegraph, but okay, woken up. They said, let's go and fight him. Meanwhile, Sato falls on the other front of battle. Astro out of the fight. Vancouver starting to get a little bit of momentum. See how long it lasts. EQO, meanwhile, going to be cloning D.Va. More stall on the point, and Philly really doesn't want to give up point A here. We'll see how long they can hold. It's on a whim and a prayer with how heavily they've been staggered, but EQO still staying in it.
Choice by EQO to copy the D.Va. That's his second self-destruct, zoning the card for so long, making it impossible for the Titans to clean up this cap. And now with the spawn advantage, the defenders are stabilizing. EQO takes the Nano as well. This is just insult to injury. Boombox is uncontested in the back line, healing everybody up. And this offense, the push is over here, and I don't even know if there's going to be another fight for the Titans.
No, I don't think there is. EQO was able to buy enough time, but that was still a misplay coming in from Vancouver. They had everything they needed to get point A, but the Fusion, they keep fighting, they keep delaying. Unfortunately, Vancouver isn't able to get the eliminations they need now. They don't touch the point, and that's it. The series is over. It's a sweep.
As expected here, but, once again, we're constantly hoping for Titans to innovate. I don't think it was very much to be expected after Houston Outlaws dominated the Titans in similar fashion yesterday. But at the same time, just well played by the Philly Fusion. This is something we always talk about, that, a top team, a Philly Fusion in the past had some issues with playing weaker teams and kind of stooping to their level, making their mistakes, and allowing them to have the openings. But now this is a much more disciplined Fusion, a team that is showing that they want to make playoffs. They want to be a championship team this time around.
I'm glad you brought that up, because Fusion, whether it be for any incarnation of the team they've had, they've been a team that's just sort of associated with Map 5, where, as they like to say about it, they play down to their opponent, but then they also play up to their opponents. But now, they're just playing up. You take a look at the standings here for our May Melee. Things are definitely looking up for the Fusion.
Yeah, great performance from them today, as expected, but, locking in those 3-0s, it sets you up for those late season standings where, it makes sometimes a biggest difference in the world to have a little bit of a better seed, better position for this May Melee, and also for the postseason when that comes around. So that consistency, it's going to pay off in the long run here for this Philly squad.
And Fusion, I think it's a team that many people had some doubts about going into the season. I know I was one of them to start with, but this is a team that their star players have come back into form. This season in general has been just a revolution for Carpe, very much a player of the year candidate. And really, Fusion, they look incredibly good, and all the hype behind them this year has been very much warranted.
Yeah, and I think Carpe has really always been that hero on the hit scan role. It's just that last season put him on the Zarya, a hero that he wasn't quite as comfortable with and couldn't really find his footing on in the same way that other players did. So you got to give props to Carpe, not losing any confidence, it seems, from a tough last season, coming right back into form with hit scan dominating. And, it doesn't seem to matter which hero he selects. Put him on the Ashe, put him on the Widow, put him on McCree. He's going to dominate. You give him that hit scan and he's going to find the heads. So, where a lot of teams, I think, have elected to play different styles, Philly, they seem to always want to put these dominant hit-scan players, especially Carpe and Hisu, back on their comfort zone.
And of course, we do have our player of the match presented by Xfinity. It's the one, the only, Sato. And you talk about a player that's done some reputation rehab this year. Sato looked invincible, unstoppable throughout most of this match. Any memories of Sato falling first in fights? Kind of gone to the wayside here, where Sato just got to do whatever he wanted here today.
Yeah, and the team played really effectively around him, but it's his actual skill on the Winston that enables him to do so, to be so confident with that sort of game plan. We saw EQO making a ton of really aggressive plays, getting a ton of cleanup, but very consistently, it was because Sato's in first, Sato's creating the space, pressuring those hit-scan heroes so that EQO has the space he needs to work with on the Echo, and that's the reason why we've seen so much success of that combo between Winston, D.Va, and Echo. Is the Winston and D.Va, very annoying tanks, they have to be dealt with or they will carve you up, and then you forget about the Echo, you forget about this massive damage threat, right above your head, and that's perfect team play from the Fusion, great individual play from Sato to set it up.
Yeah, and I mean, for a lot of those fights too, Sato was getting eliminations really before the cleanup crew came around, where you'd see EQO get 2-3 pickoffs in the fight, but we didn't lose our minds as we saw that because the fight was already over by that point, in large part because Sato was just getting such quality initiations and usually set up by poke damage from the back. Anything that Fusion was trying to do here went in their way, and Sato was a really big part of that.
Yeah, definitely. He's a player that I think a lot of people thought of as vulnerable on certain of the main tank picks, but also looking really great on the Rhine as well, playing a nice conservative style, respecting that his team has a damage lead in the comps they're playing, so that's the right decision, and it pays off heavily. So Sato, you can't question him as player of the match right now, having a huge performance, anything he's on. There's a reason they don't bring him out of the lineup.
Well, so I have to say, there's some monumental news here where you always wonder who we're going to be interviewing. And sometimes you just got to give the people what they want. We are right now awaiting the arrival of the man himself, Chipsa, who likely has a lot to say about Map 1, at the very least.
Yeah, as soon as you started teasing that, I had a guess in my mind as to who the interviewee would be. I'll be interested to see what spicy takes he had. He had a solid performance, I gotta say, coming on Map 1, recognizing that he's playing against some strong counter heroes of Doomfist, so he doesn't ever overplay his hand. He, goes in and out, never fully commits until he actually has that ult to save himself. So in doing so, that creates a ton of space for Poco and Carpe to succeed, and showing that he actually has that skill as a player, not only to succeed on the hero, but also to know when he needs to play more of a supportive role, and he did that to great effect here with Overwatch League caliber play.
Yeah, I think everyone was joking around to a degree. Fusion players, perhaps most of all in match chat in the lead up, just almost psychological warfare, just saying, just so you know, Chipsa is coming. But Chipsa also played pretty well. Yeah, there was a lot of resources that are being invested into him, but there's a lot of players that their Doomfist, if you were to throw that level support into it, wouldn't have had the results that Chipsa had, so it was still a good Map 1 victory for the Fusion, and shows that, hey, if they ever do get into a Doom heavy meta, there might be a world where Chipsa sees a little bit more regular play, even though today, where if you look at all the swaps that Fusion were doing, this is definitely more of an experimentation day for Fusion overall.
Yeah, I think understanding that they have a bit of a weaker opponent is an opportunity to show the diverse looks they have as a roster. But that's something that I think has always played in the Fusion's favor. They've always had success cycling their roster using different looks, so they're most prepared when it comes to a new meta where they need to adapt quickly.
Yeah, and overall, I have to say, this Fusion team, a joy to watch. Just, we said it in the very beginning, a lot of depth to appreciate. But now, our time is over here, Jake. We throw it to Zoe for the greatest interview of her career with Chipsa.
Wow, what a way to set it up. Yeah, I indeed am joined by, some call him a secret weapon, others may call him an elusive unicorn of the Overwatch League. I just call you Chipsa, I guess, and thank you very much for joining me here for a post-game interview.
Hey, it's nice to be here, thank you.
So you're 1-0, undefeated. What does that mean to you personally?
Well, I mean, it's to be expected. I mean, pretty much the best player. I would argue the best player to ever live, but you can say whatever you want, it's fine. But, I mean, what else do you expect from me? Undefeated, best player. It is what it is.
Yeah, it is that confidence, but also the humble attitude, which really draws me to you, actually.
Absolutely. Sorry, go on.
No, please, continue.
I was just saying, I am being humble, even though I'm saying all these things. That's me being humble. So, that just shows what kind of level I'm on compared to everyone else.
Probably the most humble. Actually, I think we could
Definitely.
actually say that.
100%.
Yeah. Now, in terms of you playing, I mean, there were lots of highlights, obviously. Some unlucky moments, wouldn't call them lowlights. It was really just luck dependent there. How much prep time did you actually have? Since Christopher did announce your big stage debut already a week ago, did you spend the entirety of the week to actually practice with the team?
Yeah, I mean, it was about pretty much every day the last week I've been practicing with the team. You know, messing around with them, getting warmed up, you know, getting game ready. So yeah, it's been about a week of practice.
All right, we only saw Doom from you, really. Did you have something in your back pocket as well, or was it go Doom or go home?
Well, in the other stage of Oasis, if it came up, I was going to play Echo and you know, show everyone that I'm also the best Echo, not just the best Doom. But it just turns out we're too good. We didn't actually need it, so you know, it is what it is.
Okay, yeah, no, I understand. I mean, you don't want to completely boom your opponents, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they're a new roster, you know, I thought I'd give them a little bit of chance. That's why they subbed me out after map 1, you know, because it would have just been so demoralizing for them to lose to just such a dominant player such as me. You know, I thought, we thought as a unit, you know, it's best to just keep it on the low, you know, and maybe this team can do something without being fully mentally boomed.
I appreciate that. I'm sure they do as well. Not just humble, but also very kind. Gotta love that. Now, looking at the matches ahead of you, any big plans for when we're gonna see you again? Maybe in the May Melee.
Who knows? You know, if there's a difficult team that they need to whip out the secret weapon, hit the red button, then who knows?
I like that you're standing on the ready. But I do want to know, like, all jokes aside, how involved are you with the team, as we're not seeing you on the stage like as often, obviously, as a lot of people would like to, but surely you're still very involved within the team behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of content for the team, and then if there is a week, let's say there's a good hero band, you know, like Tracer Sombra band or like McCree, whatever, and Doomfist is played, we kind of like put me in the roster and mess around, see, well, is this working? Is Doomfist good? Is Doomfist bad? You know, it's not like I mean, the problem is that I don't think Doomfist is a particularly strong hero right now, so I don't think he gets played that much at the highest level. But any time that there is an opportunity to do it, we do it. Like, I think it was must have been about a month ago, there was the one patch where everyone played Torb, and that patch was very much so, basically up until the last 2 days, everyone was playing Doomfist and scrims, and like I was going to play that week, and you know, I was a very active part of the team. You know, I was trying to lead the team as best I can, you know, tell them what I wanted, all that kind of stuff. So I would say I'm quite active in the team when they need me, and when they don't, you know, I'm still here providing content for the team. You know, I'm always there if anyone needs me, you know.
Yeah, and it's definitely good to have that extra voice and extra set of eyes as well, right? Because you do come with a lot of experience, so I'm pretty sure the team does appreciate it. Now, the Fusion are currently doing phenomenal within the league. How do you think they're going to fare next week in the May Melee when hero pools are completely off and they can play whatever they want?
I mean, I think if anything, hero pools being gone makes us stronger. I mean, if you remember the first, you know, whatever, it's 2 or 3 games that it was before they added hero pools to this season. I mean, we were like completely dominant. I think when it comes to the mirror of like, you know, the brawl, like May mirror, I think we're by far the best team in the league, no question, especially in America. I don't think there's any team that can really compete with us. I think that
so how do you think you're going to stack up against Shanghai Dragons, let's say?
I mean, we're going to destroy them. Like, it won't even be close.
Oh, okay. Simple as that. Oh man, yeah, thank you so much for joining me, Chips. I love the attitude, I love the banter. Always great fun to have you on.
Hey, thanks. It was nice to be here.
Absolutely. Now we're heading into a very quick break, and then we are ready with the last game of the day, so don't go anywhere.